Welcome back to Alpha Recap, your aftermarket wrap from stockalpha.ai. Markets closed with a fair bit of churn today, and we're breaking down the biggest stories. Regulatory moves for a major tech name, legal headlines at a big bank, institutional crypto flows, plus a string of defense and product updates. As always, if you have questions, you can reach us at stockalpha.ai.
Great to be here. Lots to unpack. This felt like a day where headlines collided and created volatility across sectors.
Right. Top of the tape. Reports that Google had offered terms to the European Union aimed at resolving a major news search antitrust probe. JPMorgan disclosed it had tried to settle sexual assault claims before a lawsuit was filed. And a small biotech, Avalo Therapeutics, got a price target lift that sent shares higher. And to top it off, Morgan Stanley expanding crypto trading capabilities poked the crypto and exchange space.
Wow, that's a lot. So, what really stands out here is how regulatory negotiation, litigation, and institutional flow all showed up in one session.
Let's start with Google. The Bloomberg report said Google put forward an offer to the EU that could turn a drawn-out fight into a negotiated settlement. That matters because regulatory outcomes are basically binary. Either you get hit with a big administrative fine or you don't. And analysts were modeling both scenarios.
And if it moved towards settlement, it would mean models that baked in a big fine would need to be reworked, right?
Exactly. Settlement talk tends to pull an overhang off the stock. Overhang just means an unresolved risk that keeps investors cautious. When that risk shrinks, multiples can expand, which helps not just Google, but suppliers like cloud providers and AI chip vendors too.
I mean, when you step back and look at this, the spillover is the real market-moving part. It's not only the headline, it's how it changes sentiment across big tech.
Switching to banks. JPMorgan told reporters it had tried to settle sexual assault claims before a lawsuit was filed. That brought reputational and legal risk back into focus for the banking sector.
Yeah, that's messy. Legal issues at a major lender can widen funding costs and affect counterparty perceptions, even if there isn't a huge cash payout.
Right. Analysts noted these kinds of issues are multi-quarter events. They can affect provisioning, reputation metrics, and sometimes the multiples banks trade at. And it keeps investors focused on risk management narratives across the sector.
There were also reminders about class action deadlines for some smaller names, which is a good reminder that litigation is an ongoing driver of volatility in small and mid caps.
Totally. Small cap event risk can create outsized moves because there's less liquidity and fewer analysts following those stocks.
Let's talk crypto flows next. News that Morgan Stanley was expanding crypto trading initiatives punctured a short rally in Coinbase, and the Bitcoin futures ETF traded higher on the session.
Institutional entrants change market structure. If big wealth and trading franchises start handling more crypto flow, you can get more over-the-counter blocks and prime broker flow instead of retail exchange flow. That changes fee economics and where volume shows up.
Right. And the other thing is the net impact for an exchange like Coinbase depends on whether flows route through their platform or through banks' prime broker platforms.
Exactly. Traders saw heightened intraday volatility while the market tried to price the change. The short version, institutionalization tends to deepen markets over time, but can create short-term noise during rollouts.
And that's why the ETF for Bitcoin futures was active today. Funds often react quickly to institutional moves.
Moving into defense and industrials. IGCS International announced a manufacturing partnership for defense drone production with financing support from Bank of America's Government Contracting Division. Lockheed Martin named a new aeronautics president effective June 1st, and Duitron achieved a perfect score on CMMC Level 2 certification.
Yeah, that tracks. Those are the kinds of operational items that matter when you're watching the defense supply chain.
Financing from a big lender can materially lower capital costs and accelerate scale-up for program suppliers. And a clean CMMC Level 2 score means a company can handle controlled, unclassified information. That's a gating item for many Department of Defense contracts.
Big move. Leadership transitions at primes like Lockheed are also important to watch for continuity on programs and backlog execution.
Quick hits on product and talent news. Illumin was named a best place to work. Therap Services launched a reporting upgrade for long-term services and supports customers. Starfrost introduced a hybrid tunnel freezer for food processors. Milford Mining and a Japanese partner launched a zero-waste tungsten recovery pilot. and a trio of Web3 groups unveiled an on-chain standard for immutable mitigation metadata.
Honestly, I was a bit surprised by the range. From hiring awards to zero-waste mineral recovery. It shows how many different operational fixes are in the market right now. Right.
Market micro moves. Avalo Therapeutics caught attention when Citizens lifted its price target to $50 from $40 after trial data, and shares jumped about 20% to near $40 on the session. That reshaped activity in the small-cap biotech space and drew fresh analyst focus.
So, what really stands out here is how analyst re-ratings can create sharp, liquidity-driven moves in biotech.
Coinbase paired gains after the Morgan Stanley news. The Bitcoin futures ETF was among the most active products today. A few small-cap names saw very heavy volume and speculative interest, and Adobe slipped modestly after a 6-session rally.
That mix, heavy ETF volume, headline-driven swings in small caps, and a modest pullback in a big software name, keeps the tape interesting for traders.
Let's step back to patterns. One theme, negotiation over drawn-out litigation, seems to be emerging. Google's reported offer and JPMorgan's settlement efforts both point to deals as a likely path to resolution in many corporate disputes.
And that can compress headline risk if settlements occur, but it also injects episodic volatility while negotiations are underway.
Second theme, institutionalization of crypto continues. Traditional banks and wealth managers are layering crypto into their product stacks, which redistributes margins and changes where volume lands.
Third, in defense and industrials, we saw targeted financing, plus certification and leadership continuity, an execution-focused push that could shorten delivery timelines for certain suppliers.
Finally, across software, industrial equipment, and materials, today's product and culture headlines highlighted operational improvements that often act as micro-catalysts over time.
Quick reactions.
Right.
Okay, what should listeners watch for next? Tomorrow, any official comment or filing from the European Commission about Google's reported offer would be market-moving. Also watch for follow-ups from JPMorgan, any statements, filings, or new media reporting.
And for crypto, look for more detail from Morgan Stanley on what their expansion entails, timing, product scope, and whether flows route through prime brokers or public exchanges, because that impacts Coinbase and similar venues.
On the biotech front, monitor any follow-on analyst notes or trial detail releases from Avalo that clarify the path to the new price target.
On defense, any disclosure of financing terms from Bank of America tied to the drone initiative, or comment from the incoming aeronautics president at Lockheed ahead of the June 1st transition would be worth tracking.
And for traders, watch whether the heavy volume names in active ETFs sustain activity or mean revert. High liquidity today can produce follow-through or sharp reversals.
3 quick takeaways before we go. 1. Regulatory negotiation can remove big overhangs and change sector multiples. 2. Legal headlines at large banks are a multi-quarter reputational and risk management story. And 3. Institutional crypto flows are reshaping market plumbing and could reallocate revenue across exchanges and banks.
And remember, analysts note and data suggest these are evolving stories, not single-day fixes. Keep an eye on follow-through and official filings rather than headlines alone.
This briefing is informational only. It does not constitute personalized investment, tax, or legal advice, and it is not a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold any security. Analyst notes and data referenced are for modeling and scenario testing purposes.
If you have questions about anything we covered today, head to stockalpha.ai, where you can ask us directly and we'll answer live. For more market analysis and insights, visit stockalpha.ai.
Thanks for listening. Catch you tomorrow on Alpha Recap.